Hello guys, as you might know if you follow me, I have shut down the shop, and one of the first thing I've done is I called the company to cut the electricity, so I have no power anymore, but I had a few days more to stay there until the rent was over. So I took the chance at building something by hand because one of the most frequent comments I read when somebody is showing their work online is, of course you made it because you have a super shop that costs a lot of money. I would be good too with that kind of tools and blah 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 blah. That's wrong. You can build stuff also with 30 bucks worth of tools and some glue, which I'm gonna prove it to you right now. This is a stool that the lovely lady renting me the place where I was doing my woodworking asked me to build so she can wash dishes and roll some nice homemade pasta on the table at the right height. Let's go. So the first part we cut is the base where we are going to stick the three pieces for the seat, and then we got off cutting the legs, making a small cut on the corners first and then joining the line. That's the best way. You can use a Japanese saw for effective cutting. And there we go, another one. Pretty clean, quite precise if you are careful, as you can see. And then I marked the lines for the tenons. As you can see, all four sides. And then I have done that for the four legs, of course. And then with the marking gauge, this is a very nice one from Veritas. It's quite expensive. You don't have to use that if you don't have one. You can do this with several other things, including a cutter if you want, because I said this was a low-cost video, but it happens that I have that, so I used it. I could have used a, just a cutter on top of lines that I draw with a pencil. Would have worked the same. As you can see, the lines that I've marked are just 20 millimeters, like the chisel I'm going to use to cut the mortises. So that's gonna make life much easier and the work much quicker. These lines will of course be used to cut the actual tenon, and then to do that I'm cutting the depth with the Japanese saw, and then I will finish up the tenon by actually taking out the wood with the chisel. You want to be very careful here and work your way slowly until you meet the point that you have cut with the Japanese saw. Then gently finish it up by hand. The results may vary, as you can see, but it's good enough for a tenon. At this point I'm tracing the lines where I want the mortises to be cut in the base plate. With that done, I can now start chiseling actually the mortises. It's a bit of a long process, but it works. All you have to do is just follow the lines and take a little step at a time, and then take out material and then repeat again until you start seeing the lines on the other side, and you just knock it off with the finger basically. Here's a little test fit, and then a general test fit of the whole thing with me sitting on top of it and already showing its load capability, so to speak. I'm now cutting the 3 parts that are going to be stuck on top of the base plate. And at this stage I am applying the glue and then putting them on the base plate, covering also the mortises, which then are going to be cut through the upper parts as well. And here I'm letting them dry under some weight. This is the part where I also have traced the line for the mortises and tenons for the lower structure, and I'm just indicating how it's going to go. Now, by following the same method I have used before, I am cutting the depth cuts for the tenons, and then I will just clean them off with the chisel, just like before. With all the tenons cut, I will now chisel my way through the parts for the mortises, and then I will be able to make a test fit and go on with the legs. Here's a dry test fit of the whole thing. I still have to cut the mortises through the upper parts, which are now glued. And that's where we are beginning to do this. I will save you several minutes of hammering and chiseling because you know already what it's all about. And this is the part where I am putting a slight inclination on the sides so the wedges can go in, giving it a sort of trapezoidal shape. I think that's correct to say. You can see it clearly here from the top. Now I'm cutting the wedges from a thin strip that was a leftover from previous work, and these are made out of walnut. Then to give them a pointy shape, I'm just using a chisel against a makeshift wall that I made on the workbench. This took a little while, not too much, but at the end you will see it's effective. Oh, of course I have cut 2 different sizes of wedges. The ones that I'm going to use on the top are longer because they include the base plate depth, while the others are a bit shorter, like 15 or 16 millimeters shorter. And here's the final shape. Now I'm cutting the grooves for them to go into the tenons. And this is where you get your hands dirty. I'm gluing up all the tenons, and then you will see I will pick up the wedges, put some glue on them too, and then stick them in by hand. And then you hammer on them until they go fully in. Sorry about this part being a bit out of the screen. Okay, here I'm cleaning off the excess glue, and I'm showing you this because I realized later that the part that I used for the wedges is 16-17 millimeters, while the mortise and tenons are 20. I just filled it up with glue and it didn't look too bad in the end, as you will see. Okay, here's a close-up of the finished product. Some boiled linseed oil on it, so it gives a bit of a yellowish color. And that's it. This was fun, guys. Thank you for watching.